all night. Why Russ may be cooking in Denver after all.
They understand this has to fix Russell Wilson. And obviously Sean Payton won't be tied to what Russell Wilson does as far as his future in Denver, but they brought him there specifically to fix their quarterback they spent $250 million on.
A new coach arrives in H-Town for the Texans.
Like, D'Amico Rans is a really good coach. We watched it on Diskies alone. You see how those players responded to him on that sideline for the San Francisco 49ers. He's been in a winning culture, and obviously his history with the Houston Texans. Dare I say, the Houston Texans finally got it right.
The Lakers take on the Knicks in MSG.
2 seconds to go. Half quarter by Schroeder. Good! Schroeder threw it in from 45 feet.
This is Sports Center all night.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride.
Here's Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center all night. Let's ride. ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. Lakers playing at Madison Square Garden. Second night of a back-to-back in New York City. Monday they lost in Brooklyn. When last we saw LeBron, it was in Saturday's overtime loss in Boston when there was no foul called at the end of regulation and he used the court like a trampoline. LeBron sat out Monday's game in Brooklyn, but he was back on the court Tuesday for the Lakers game at MSG. Fast forward to the fourth.
LeBron's got the ball. Lakers have 10 to shoot it. Crowd chanting defense. LeBron for three. Good! A huge three by LeBron. Timeout, New York.
7:10 ESPN LA. That bucket putting the Lakers up 6, but back come the Knicks.
In the lane, the teardrop, got it! Brunson's tied the game, he's got 34. We're deadlocked at 1:14. Exactly 24 seconds to go here at the Garden.
98.7 ESPN New York. Tie game at the end of regulation, so it was off to overtime.
Ball into Westbrook. Laker lead is 5. 1:20 to go in overtime. Here's Russ. 2-pointer. Good! Bank shot from 17 feet on the left side. And now the Lakers lead by 7 with 1:10 to go.
7:10 ESPN LA, and it winds up being a 129-123 overtime win for the Lakers. 6-point win for LeBron and LA. LeBron, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, as he has a triple-double in the win in New York.
I just think we played good ball throughout 48 minutes tonight. I think we defended at a high level. We rebounded. We rebounded them by, we got out-rebounded by 1, but we rebounded the ball pretty good except for those 4 straight possessions in the fourth quarter, back to back. But I thought we was just, we was in tune with the game plan throughout 48 minutes, and we did a good job of executing that both offensively and defensively.
LeBron James, 28 points, so he now needs 89 to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most all-time in NBA history. Based on his career scoring average of about 27, he would pass Kareem in 4 games, which would be February 9th against the Bucks. This season, he's averaging right around 30 points. And based on that, he would pass Kareem February 7th against the Thunder. So either way, at this clip, we're looking at some point in the next week. Perhaps Tuesday, perhaps Thursday, when the Lakers have their games, this assuming he doesn't miss any games over this upcoming span. Speaking of moving up the career list, LeBron James moving to 4th all-time in career assists on Tuesday.
It's amazing because that's just, what I love to do and getting my guys involved and trying to put the ball on time and on target with my guys throughout the course of my career. And, with another great group that allows me to see the space and see the floor, and I'm able to get it to them and try to get it to them, with the right type of pass. And but they have to make the shots, and they've done a great job of that, not only this season but over the course of my career. So it's pretty cool. And anytime you link with some of the greats, Mark Jackson played here, was drafted here by the Knicks, so super cool thing. And obviously we know what Nash was. I played against him for many years, and his ability to pass the ball was very uncanny.
LeBron moving to 4th all-time in career assists by passing both Mark Jackson and Steve Nash on Tuesday. LeBron recording his 106th career triple-double, one shy of tying Jason Kidd for the 4th most all-time. 3 career triple-doubles at Madison Square Garden, tied for 2nd among visiting players since MSG opened in 1968. Speaking of triple-doubles, Nuggets hosting the Pelicans in Denver.
Jokic gets down the lane, kick out over to Green, back over to Joker, turnaround hook shot is up and in. Joker knew exactly what he wanted to do from the jump on that play.
In the middle, kick it out, post back up, and then an easy little hook shot.
Altitude Radio Network, Nikola Jokic, 26 points, 18 rebounds, 15 assists as Denver beats the Pelicans 122-113. For Jokic, his 16th triple-double this season, most in the NBA. It's the second most he's had in a single season in his career. His most was 19. He now has 16. Fourth triple-double through 3 quarters this season. That is also the most in the NBA. For the second time in his career, Jokic recording a 15-rebound, 15-assist game while shooting 70% from the floor. The only other player to do that in NBA history is Wilt Chamberlain, who did it 3 times. Giannis Antetokounmpo, meanwhile, continuing to make his case to stay in the MVP race.
Giannis with another rebound as he grabs in his 14th of the night. He'll go the other way with his team out in front by 14.
Going to fire up a 3, and he hits again. Giannis drills the distance jumper. Hit 3 of them 2 nights ago on 4 tries. He hits 1 here tonight.
WTMJ, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 34 points, 18 rebounds, and 4 assists. Milwaukee with a 124-115 win over the Hornets. For Giannis, 4th straight 30-point, 10-rebound game. He has 3 of the 4 instances of a player recording 4 straight 30-point, 10-rebound games this season. Bucks overall get their 5th consecutive win. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
Play fake. Russ rolls to his right. Throws the ball wide open. Receiver. Portland Sutton. Touchdown, Denver.
Not necessarily an abundance of touchdown highlights for the Broncos this past season. In fact, it was a career low 16 touchdown passes for Russell Wilson. Coach Nathaniel Hackett shown the door, and it's apparently Sean Payton coming in. The Broncos agreeing to a compensation deal with the Saints on Tuesday in order to hire Sean Payton as their head coach. Denver will send a first-rounder in this year's draft and a second-rounder next year. Payton, of course, stepped down as the Saints coach last year, but remained under contract in New Orleans. Now, Payton expected to become the coach in Denver, and it may not be quite what he experienced in New Orleans. ESPN analysts Teddy Bruschi and Ryan Clark.
They understand this has to fix Russell Wilson. And obviously, Sean Payton won't be tied to what Russell Wilson does as far as his future in Denver, but they brought him there specifically to fix their quarterback they spent $250 million on. It was obviously below the line for Russell Wilson and also the offense in Denver. And you watch the relationship between Sean Payton and Drew Brees throughout their tenure at the New Orleans Saints. And it was beautiful. And they did play on time. And Drew Brees had uncanny accuracy, uncanny anticipation. And a lot of that was heaped, or a lot of that praise was heaped on to Sean Payton. But that's not who Russell Wilson is. Yeah. So now you're going to try to turn Russell Wilson into what Drew Brees was. And so this marriage has to work. Russell Wilson is going to have to compromise, but I believe Sean Payton is going to have to coach in a different manner as well with dealing with Russell Wilson as opposed to Drew Brees.
I think it's about personality is what RC is getting to, because Sean Payton was mentored by Bill Parcells. Mm-hmm. And Bill Parcells used to have this thing about celebrity quarterbacks and quarterbacks that craved the attention, craved the fame, craved that everything that went along with the game rather than what the game is all about. I think that's where Russell Wilson has sort of strayed to. So Sean Payton, he's going to walk into this situation and sit down with whoever was there. And you're telling me it was like what? You're telling me he was doing what? And he is going to have to come in and almost the reset button has got to be hit on the table like this, that how it was last year is gone, fellas. That's what he has to establish.
But Teddy, doesn't he have enough cachet to do that, though? A guy like Sean Payton can come in and he can make those adjustments and I believe be respected in the locker room.
And he's got a little bit of prick in him, too. So it's good because I think that's exactly what he's going to need. Yep. He has got to go in there and bring in some old Bill Parcells and say, this is the way it is right now, fellas. Whatever you knew before me, no, that doesn't even exist right now.
Sean Payton telling NOLA.com on Tuesday, quote, great fan base, great tradition. The ownership group is fantastic, and I love the way they competed last year. It's a great football city like we had in New Orleans. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Then there's Houston. The Texans hiring one of their own, DeMeco Ryans, former Houston linebacker, who was most recently the defensive coordinator for the Niners the past 2 seasons, is returning to Houston to become the 4th coach in Houston in 4 years. David Culley, Lovie Smith, of course, each fired after just 1 season. But Ryans is getting a 6-year deal. ESPN analyst Marcus Spears.
I was opposed to black coaches going coach in Houston unless it was like this, unless it was something where you could actually build and be a part of what this organization is doing from front to back. And David Culley and Lovie Smith and so many guys around the league had tremendous respect for them. But I don't want to say they know they got hired to get fired, but they knew that it wasn't a long-term situation, and they knew that their tenure would be short. When I see the 6 years, that's my focus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, DeMeco Ryans is a really good coach. You see how those players responded to him on that sideline for the San Francisco 49ers. He's been in a winning culture, and obviously his history with the Houston Texans. Dare I say, the Houston Texans finally got it right with a black head coach. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about DeMeco Ryans shifting the culture in Houston because, look, we know the type of conversation and connotation that goes on around the Houston Texans organization and when they hire coaches. This is a different day in Houston, and hopefully we can see that manifest in DeMeco having a lot of success, but also this organization starting to kind of right itself with the black community when it comes to football, but also how they've been going about their business for the last few years of hiring black coaches that were set up to fail.
This marks the first head coaching job for DeMeco Ryans, who calls it his dream job. Meanwhile, with David Culley, Lovie Smith, and now Ryans, the Texans have become the first team in NFL history to have hired 3 consecutive black coaches. Frank Reich, meanwhile, hired in Carolina. Panthers hiring Reich, who's white, over Steve Wilks, who's black. While team owner David Tepper insisted he's doing what he can to break up the old boys network in the NFL, touting the diversity among the team's executive group. As for the 2 coaches we learned about on Tuesday, Sean Payton in Denver, DeMeco Ryans in Houston, what's the prognosis for them? To the guys at PTI, Tony Kornheiser, Michael Wilbon.
Which coach is better set up for success, Sean Payton or DeMeco Ryans?
Let's see. One of these 2 coaches hired today walks into camp, into the building for work, his very first day, and he's got a guy in there who, at least for the first 7 years of his career, appeared to be on the Hall of Fame track, Russell Wilson. He's set up for success if he can get the old Russell Wilson, not an old Russell Wilson, the Russell Wilson just from 2-3 years ago, the Russell Wilson from like the first 6 games, not 2022, but 2021. You can do that. Right. And he doesn't, look, he's slower. He can't run away from people anymore. I get all that. He gets older, but he knows what he's doing in a pocket. He knows how to play the traditional position as well. And Sean Payton's supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. Then start whispering. He's set up, at least at the most important position in North American sports.
Yeah, I think it's a short-term, long-term question here. And I agree with you. I think it hinges for Sean Payton. I think it hinges on Russell Wilson. I think those people who think it will work out well, like you, understand that Sean Payton worked with Drew Brees, who was the same physical stature as Russell Wilson. Not an enormous quarterback. He made that work and worked great in New Orleans for a lot of years. The question is Russell Wilson, is he done? He looked terrible this year.
He's going to look
You
fine.
are one of those people that believe that was a total blip in the screen.
The coach.
Right? And that he can
coach.
Right. Oh, okay. But that's the question. The question is, how much does Russell Wilson have left? Sean Payton will get it out of him.
Yes.
How much does he have left? In terms of long-term, DeMeco Ryans may be better set up because he's got, although Sean Payton could have a 10-year contract if he wants it, because he's got a 6-year contract. And that there's no expectations in Houston right now at all, because that franchise has been awful for a number of years. Really good players like DeAndre Hopkins just wanted out of Houston. Deshaun Watson refused to play for a full year there. So it's been a sinkhole. So if he gets a quarterback, he knows about defense. If he gets a quarterback, because everybody needs a quarterback, then on the long-term side, it might be him. But right now, everybody's going to look at Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
You said let's look long-term. Didn't somebody sort of famous for being and coaching in Houston say the NFL stands for what? Huh?
Not for long.
Who said that?
Not for long. Yeah.
Huh?
Jerry Glanville.
The guy who used to lead tickets for Elvis when he was in Houston.
Right?
Not for long, especially in Houston.
Right.
The game misses Jerry Glanville. Who's as entertaining as Jerry Glanville on a sideline now? Nobody.
2 more coaches being hired on Tuesday. Sean Payton, D'Amico Ryans. Look at the logjam atop these standings. That's next. Sports Center all night. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up Wednesday, with the NBA trade deadline on the horizon, Dr. J is officially in the building, and I'll tell you which 5 players should be traded. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, E2, and ESPNU.
This is Sports Center all night.
When you bundle your renters and auto insurance with Progressive, you could save money, but it doesn't cover any terrible memories living rent-free in your head.
Hey, I noticed it's been a few minutes since you thought about when your quarterback ran into his own teammate and fumbled, technically forcing his own fumble, and then the other team took it in for a score, and then you couldn't turn on the TV for a month without being constantly reminded of the time your quarterback sacked himself and fumbled.
Sorry, we can't save you from that memory, but we could save you money bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Renters insurance and bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's Rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any, subject to program terms while supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
Secrets, cover-ups, and strange phenomena.
UFOs and ideas that challenge reality itself.
My name is George Knapp. I dig into news stories that others can't or won't.
I'm Jeremy Corbell, and for some reason, people tell me things they probably shouldn't. And this is Weaponized. Follow and listen to Weaponized, the presentation of Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, Dark Horse Entertainment, and Cadence 13 Studios. Available now for free on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your shows.
This week, Staples has deals so good, you're going to want to sit down. Are you sitting? I'll wait. Great. Right now during Staples Sit-a-thon, select chairs are more than 50% off. Like the leather Vortex gaming chair, now just $119.99 at Staples. You save $140. Plus get 2 2-ounce bottles of Purell hand sanitizer, free with the Staples Connect app. So take a seat or 2. Right now at Staples, the working, learning, and saving store. Offers end 2/4. Chair offer valid in-store and online. Purell Limit 2, in-store only while supplies last.
I had a nighttime routine for my frequent heartburn. I would drink milk. I would sleep upright with more pillows. But that painful burning stayed. So I made Prilosec OTC part of my morning routine. With just 1 pill each morning, Prilosec OTC prevents excess acid production, blocking heartburn day and night. Now I have a new nighttime routine. I call it sleeping.
1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. With Prilosec OTC. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
What's your favorite high school sports memory? A late inning rally? A game-winning shot, a photo finish? Maybe it's a pep rally or a pregame ritual. Maybe it's the euphoria of a late-night bus ride home after a hard-fought win. Maybe it's having pizza with teammates after the game. Now, imagine if it never happened at all. School sports need your help. With budgets getting tighter, it's more than the games that are on the line. It's all the traditions, the community pride, the culture of your hometown high school, plus all those memories that are on the line too. What can you do? It's simple. Buy a ticket when you can. Go to a game. Take the whole family. Let's do everything we can to keep those cherished school sports memories alive.
This message presented by the Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association and the Tennessee Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
And the ESPN app.
Memphis is home of the Jeff Calkins Show.
I have 3 nipples.
Weekday mornings from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. 92.9 FM ESPN.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center All Night, ESPN Radio. College basketball gave us a top 10 matchup on Tuesday. Big 12 showdown between Kansas and K-State.
Wilson, a three-pointer on the other side. He drilled it. Jalen Wilson from the left wing. KU goes up a dozen. There's a lob toward KJ. I love the fact that he's in the game. Turns, shoots, got it.
Just out-hustled him right there. It was a tough pass. He wanted it more, and then he goes right up with it so quick off his feet.
Brian Haney from Learfield. 8th-ranked Kansas by a dozen over K-State. 90-78 the final for Kansas, 17th straight home win against K-State, tying their second longest active home win streak versus a Big 12 opponent. They have 19 straight home wins against Oklahoma. Jalen Wilson averaging 26.5 points per game over the last 5, most by any Kansas player across a 5-game span since the conference formed in 1996. Since 2019, Jayhawks are 55-4 at home. Tough place to go in and win, and Kansas gets the win over Kansas State on Tuesday. ESPN analyst LaFonso Ellis and Seth Greenberg.
Now, look, this Kansas team is special, but the Big 12 is an absolute joke right now. I mean, really top to bottom. Yes. Each and every night, they're not games, they're events, and they're rock fights, and there's great defense. And every venue is absolutely more difficult to play against. So we used to spend all our time saying Kansas versus the field.
Right.
You know what I say this year? It's Kansas and the field.
Yes.
It's K-State and the field. It's Baylor and the field. If you look in this conference, it is hard to win.
Yes.
And you have to play well to win. And Kansas, look, they won national championship last year. They're a team that can make a deep run. But it's not like they've separated themselves from the rest of this conference. This conference right now, top to bottom, if you don't play well, you're not winning. And the games aren't games. Their events.
Yeah, and people make a big deal out of teams losing in this conference. We were just looking at it earlier. All 10 of their teams are in the top 63 in defensive efficiency. That's absolutely incredible. So scoring points is hard in the Big 12. And so I'm not too worried about Kansas losing a few along the way. TCU losing a few along the way. They'll be there when we get to the NCAA tournament.
I mean, like, you look at a Baylor team, they're backwards, maybe the best in the country.
Offensively.
All right? Offensively. But you know what? They went to Texas. We just said Texas in the field.
Yes.
Last time I checked, they were the top of the Big 12.
Right.
So, I mean, and they do it on the defensive end and veteran backcourt. So the league is it's absolutely fascinating to watch.
Kansas 29-3 at home against Big 12 opponents since 2019. Haven't lost consecutive home games over that span. Arkansas, 81-70 win over Texas A&M. Arkansas has won 3 straight conference games since starting SEC play at 1-5. Number 15 TCU hosting West Virginia in Fort Worth.
Here's ball, free throw line, flips to Korg, extra pass down low, Coles reverts layup good.
Wow. Talk about threading the needle on 2 passes there. And Coles, how good has he been around the rim tonight, Brian? Just finishing and finishing and finishing.
Brian is Brian Estridge from Learfield. 15th ranked TCU overcoming the absence of top scorer Mike Miles Jr. to beat West Virginia 76-72. The Horned Frogs wrapping up the first half of their conference schedule in a 4-way tie with number 7 K-State, number 8 Kansas, and number 13 Iowa State for second place. And they're all 1 game behind league-leading Texas, who's number 10. Sports Center All Night ESPN Radio in the SEC. Kentucky, a 75-66 win over Ole Miss. Kentucky entering Tuesday as one of Joe Lunardi's last 4 in. 4th-ranked Alabama and Vanderbilt, no contest.
Bediako will hand it off to Quinterly. JQ will drive, feed it to Miller. Why not? Another bank first 3. He's 5 of 10 from the arc. 14 of 27 from 3-point range is Alabama.
Chris Stewart from Learfield, Alabama. 101-44 rout of Vanderbilt. 57-point win for Bama, the largest win in SEC play in program history. They're the first team to win an SEC game by 50 since 2003 when Kentucky beat Vanderbilt. Maryland and Indiana.
Dante Scott in the left wing, 1:14 to play. Backing in against Thompson, backing in into the paint. Fakes left,
comes back left, off the glass, and scores over Thompson again.
So, McHale up and under.
Dante Scott with 19 tonight, 64-53, under a minute to play.
It would be a 66-55 win for the Terps at home as Maryland stays perfect at home in conference play with their win over number 21, Indiana. Well, how many feathers got ruffled with more hirings on Tuesday? Sports Center All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Greeny, and a bit of a surprise, but Sean Payton is the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. They have to give up a lot to get him. Is this a great idea or another huge mistake? We'll talk about it. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599 right now and get 50% off installation with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599. 800-717-4599.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max J. Williams.
He is the Patrick Mahomes of the NBA.
Oh, good night. The right-hand hammer brings the crowd out of the seat as Ja Morant turns on the Jets.
But way more entertaining because there are more possessions. And you're like, oh, dude's just doing things that quarterbacks never. That's what this dude is doing. He's AI combined with Zion athleticism 2.0.
Weekday mornings from 5 a.m. till 9 a.m. Only on Memphis' sports station, 92.9 FM ESPN.
Enjoy 29-degree drafts and scenic views at Twin Peaks, I-10 and Kirkwood with me, Nick Russo, Thursday, February 9th from 7 to 9. We're going to be giving away Bull Barbecue Shack wristbands so you can be in our tent at Cook-Off, 7 to 9, Thursday, February 9th at Twin Peaks, I-10 and Kirkwood.
Breathe in and out. Let relaxation fill your mind, even if you're super stressed and behind on your taxes like me. Sorry to interrupt. Who are you? I'm April from TaxAct. You can let go of tax season stress and elevate to a heightened state of serenity with our free expert help and a maximum refund. Free help? Waves of calm are washing over me. Good, because here comes a storm of cash. TaxAct, the help you need for free.
See TaxAct.com for details.
Did you know that Zadok buys old jewelry, diamonds, and watches? If you've got a few things collecting dust in a drawer, let Zadok take it off your hands and usually walk away with a check that day. You can also trade in jewelry and watches that you no longer wear and get credit for the items you love and want now. It's a win-win. They also carry a large selection of pre-owned watches and estate jewelry. Simply visit Zadok at 1801 Post Oak. It's beautiful. It's 2 floors of excellence. Or online at zadok.com.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you can do great things. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of yourself. Because when you feel empowered, you're more ready for life's challenges. BetterHelp is a great therapy option. It's flexible, affordable, entirely online, and it matches you with a licensed therapist. Let therapy help empower you. Visit betterhelp.com/goal to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/goal.
Being gifty, my calendar can be a chaotic place. 3 birthdays and my anniversary all in the next month. That's why I use Celebrations Passport from the 1-800-Flowers family of brands. Celebrations Passport gives me free shipping on thousands of amazing gifts. And the more gifts I give, the more perks and rewards I earn. Giving is easy with Celebrations Passport. Learn more at 1-800-Flowers.com/listen. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/listen.
Looking for affordable, reliable auto insurance? Freeway has you covered. Freeway has great low rates for auto insurance as low as 99 cents a day. Say goodbye to overpriced rates and start saving today. Freeway has hundreds of options to choose from. Let Freeway help you find the coverage that fits your needs. Freeway is available online, by phone, or in person. With rates as low as 99 cents a day, you could save hundreds a year. Tap the link below or go to freewayinsurance.com for a fast, free quote. Freeway, driving savings. Some restrictions and fees may apply. Quoted price for liability premium only.
Giannato and Jeffrey.
And they actually offered something to the people.
The G&J Show, weekdays from 2 p.m. till 4 p.m. 92.9 FM ESPN, Memphis' sports station.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center All Night, presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career path with flexibility and great pay and benefits? Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. Bundle today at progressive.com.
Half-hour headlines on Sports Center All Night.
LeBron with a triple-double at Madison Square Garden as the Lakers beat the Knicks in overtime. Nikola Jokic with his 16th triple-double of the season and Denver's victory at home. 2 NFL coaching vacancies have now been filled.
Adam Schefter reporting that the Broncos and Saints have reached a deal on compensation for Sean Payton.
After the firing of Nathaniel Hackett, he was my number one target for the Broncos.
They understand this has to fit Russell Wilson. Is this the guy that can almost push a big reset button on a quarterback's career? And I think it's the guy.
They hired Sean Payton because he's really freaking good.
Who needs draft picks when you've got Sean Payton?
Houston and Denver both settling on new coaches on Tuesday. DeMeco Ryans will be the new coach for the Texans, while the Broncos have a deal with the Saints on compensation for Sean Payton so that Payton can now become the new coach in Denver. ESPN analyst Marcus Spears.
I think this is about Sean Payton humanizing Russell Wilson and making him understand that you are one of the guys outside of the guy. He had a great way of doing that with Drew Brees, and everybody knew when we went to New Orleans and we watched the Saints that this was Drew Brees' team, and Drew Brees was the guy that stood head and shoulders above Hall of Famer. But when you got around that team and when you talk to Sean, and I know Sean well, he would always talk about, man, Drew is one of these dudes. All of that stuff coming out about Russ having his own office, and everybody was like, why would guys be up in arms in this? It's not necessarily that Russ wasn't a teammate and guys didn't like him. Any type of separation excludes you from what we are dealing with in the locker room. And it doesn't matter if you're there every day. And everybody knows that the quarterbacks have different set of standards and they can do things differently and more leniency. But the more and more you can make those guys one of the 53, then the team becomes better psychologically.
And with Denver bringing in a coach with a respected resume, it may be able to change the culture in that locker room that Marcus Spears mentioned. Earlier on ESPN Radio, 3-time Super Bowl champ Mark Schlereth from 104.3 The Fan in Denver.
When this whole process started after the firing of Nathaniel Hackett, he was my number one target for the Broncos. And so the fact that they got him, regardless of the compensation, I think it's a great deal for the Denver Broncos and starts legitimizing them as a football team and as an organization again, because they've really slipped out of the national, just the national perspective, if you will. So I thought it was a huge hire for the Broncos.
Where did Peyton rank on their priority list? Was he their top guy in your opinion?
I think he was one of 3 of the top guys. I think Jim Harbaugh might have been their top target, but Jim Harbaugh, Peyton, and then obviously DeMeco Ryans, and I think the one thing you have to understand is the ownership group is, Greg Penner's making the major decisions, but they've got Condoleezza Rice as part of the ownership group. Obviously, George Payton, their general manager, had a say. So I don't know that there was a consensus on who the number one target was. And I think that's why you've gotten so many conflicting reports. But the bottom line is he was one of their top targets right off the start. And it doesn't matter, we say this all the time about getting in the NFL. It doesn't matter if you arrive by bus, by plane or by train. It's just a matter of getting there. So I don't really care how they got him. The fact is they got the most experienced coach out there, the guy with the most proven track record.
I want to get the Denver perspective from you, the reaction to everything they've given up. They've given up 3 first-rounders and 3 second-rounders, plus a whole bunch more for Sean Payton and Russell Wilson collectively. How did Broncos fans feel about that?
Well, I think Bronco fans are a little concerned about the lack of draft capital. But, look at the Rams. They haven't given a rip about draft picks, and they ended up winning a Super Bowl doing it that way. So, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and it all depends on your perspective. 50% of the guys drafted in the first round are either average players or busts. So, I don't put a lot of merit into it. I played long enough to know and long enough to see a bunch of first rounders that weren't worth a squirt of piss. So, it depends on the perspective you have about what the draft brings you. And so you're going to have to do a great job with the limited draft picks you have, especially late in the draft. But where you're really going to have to sow your oats is you're going to have to be great in free agency. And that's, that pro scouting department's going to have to be on their game, and you're going to have to try to get as much value as you can in free agency. And of course, the cap continues to skyrocket up. So you should be able to find good players in free agency.
Mark Schlereth from 104.3 The Fan in Denver earlier here on ESPN Radio. Right now, Sports Center all night. So Denver landing on their guy on Tuesday. Houston, meanwhile, bringing in their new coach as well. DeMeco Ryans, former Houston linebacker, most recently the defensive coordinator for the Niners, spent 2 years with San Francisco, but now returns to Houston and will be getting a 6-year deal to be their head coach. ESPN analyst Teddy Bruschi.
A lot goes on in this NFL, and we're looking at recycled head coaches over and over, and we know what they're going to do, and we know what their process is, and you can anticipate what it's going to be. This is fresh excitement to the league, okay? A great young coach played around the same time we did. We know who he was as a player, excited to see who he is as a head coach, and with all, I'll say, the so-called benefits that it has coming with being the Houston Texans coach in terms of draft capital. So excited for DeMeco Ryans.
It finally feels real. Like let's be real. When they hired Cully and when they hired Lovie Smith, I was like, this don't really feel right.
Almost like they got their guy.
It felt
Yeah.
stink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now you look at DeMeco Ryans getting a 6-year deal, having the opportunity. He's going to have a chance to draft a quarterback, get his guy in the building, also use some of the cap space that they have. It seems like he has a real chance to succeed. It seems like DeMeco Ryans, who has earned this opportunity, is going to get everything that he needs to build an organization and build a program in Houston. And I'm extremely excited to watch him work. And it says a lot, and it does a lot for former players getting this opportunity, especially an African-American head coach.
DeMeco Ryans getting a 6-year deal following in the footsteps of the 1 year that David Culley got and the 1 year that Lovie Smith got as head coaches in Houston. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. On the quarterback front, there continues to be the focus on Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, whether or not Aaron Rodgers has hit that crossroad in Green Bay with the Packers. Aaron Rodgers has a decision to make, and he tells the Pat McAfee Show.
I wouldn't say weighing heavy. I don't think that's the right description of it. I would say when you've played as long as I have and you like to recap each week, the things that happened, and you enjoy journaling and different things, I think it's important to look at the tone of those things and where your mind is, when you get away from it, because you have to get away from the emotion of it. And that's why I always think you can't make a decision until after the Super Bowl at the earliest, because there's still football going on. It ain't about me. It's about the Chiefs and the Eagles still playing and the great season that they've had. But I think you got to be cognizant of what was going through your mind during the season. Did you enjoy the grind as much? Did you enjoy practice? Did you enjoy the meeting time? Did you enjoy the routine? And not forget about those feelings and make an emotional response either way. I think that's important. So it's not something that's on my mind 24/7. It's not on my mind that much at all, to be honest with you. It's just settling into this part of the end of January and February and contemplating, my life, for the next few months, and then trying to see if football fits into that.
Aaron Rodgers telling the Pat McAfee Show, still evaluating the past season, whether he enjoyed practice or the meeting. Let's be honest, who really enjoys meetings? As for his conversations with the Packers,
it sounds like there's already conversations going on that aren't involving me, which are interesting. Honestly, I've been insulated to a lot of that. Like I said, I was in Nashville, and then I'll be up here, this week playing in the tournament. So I'm not a part of those conversations right now. When I make up my mind one way or another, then you guys and Packers, not in that order, and everybody else will know at some point.
Aaron Rodgers playing golf this week. And as we know, former head coach in Denver, Nathaniel Hackett, landing the offensive coordinator job with the Jets. As for Rodgers and his relationship with Hackett,
we all have certain coaches that have meant a lot to us over the years and have created those really special rooms to play in, special feelings on game day, made the weeks better. Obviously, Nathaniel's one of those guys. I would say there's been a handful of coaches over the years who've been just on another different level, guys who you just kind of bonded with more than other guys. And it's not a shot at any other coach you've played with. It's just
humans,
just like with teammates. Some guys you love, and some guys you love and you spend more time with them off the field.
Prior to the 1 year that Nathaniel Hackett spent as head coach in Denver, he was the offensive coordinator with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. SportsCenter All Night, ESPN Radio. As for Tom Brady, there's much speculation about his future, especially with that banged-up quarterback room that the Niners had to finish the season. Common belief is that Brady, should he not return to the Buccaneers, would be a perfect stopgap move for a season or two with San Francisco. ESPN's Jeff Darlington.
We have to understand something. Tom Brady is still under contract with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and that is until March 13th when other teams can start to contact him. March 15th is when the league year starts. And normally I'd bring it up and be like, yeah, but we know what's going on behind the scenes. Tell that to the Miami Dolphins, who thought that they could find a way to talk to Tom Brady behind the scenes and ultimately were docked to draft capital because they never saw the Brian Flores lawsuit and investigation that ultimately came from those conversations. So it's important to remember that that March 13th date probably is legitimate to keep in mind. The other thing I want to point out, though, is that the Tampa Bay Bucks also still welcome Tom Brady back, and they want him back. Tom Brady loves what ownership has done for him there in Tampa. He likes general manager Jason Light. All that being said, I fully understand the San Francisco one. And until we hear the 49ers say that they're not interested, we will be paying close attention. His family lives in the Bay Area, his parents, I should say. They are getting to the point where cross-country trips are a little more difficult these days. Family came into play when he went to Tampa Bay. I could certainly see family coming into play once again as he makes this decision as well.
Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, two of the folks who have decisions to make during this NFL offseason. SportsCenter All Night, ESPN Radio. Back to the NBA. LeBron James and the Lakers getting a win in New York, an overtime win over the Knicks. 129-123. LeBron James, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists for a triple-double. His 28 points, putting him 89. 89 is the number he now needs to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most points ever in the world. And, of course, his Lakers teammates keeping a close eye on that chase towards history. His teammate, Anthony Davis.
We're very excited. It's a very huge accomplishment. I was fortunate enough to be here, when he went to second, and now, to be here chasing first. I think 89 points. So the team is very excited. Probably going to be a surreal moment, for all of us, but probably more so him. Mike say, obviously he's all team first, and then, obviously whatever game it is, we want to be able to win the game, but team is all excited. We always congratulate guys for milestones. Him tonight, moving forth into all-time assists. Russ, when he had 24,000 and moving up in assists the other night. So it's going to be a big moment, and myself and I can speak probably for their whole team and organization. We just happy to be a part of it.
LeBron James with 11 assists on Tuesday, passing Mark Jackson and Steve Nash into fourth all-time in career assists. As for the career scoring mark, at his current scoring rate, should be next Tuesday or Thursday if LeBron doesn't miss any games. Speaking of LA, Clippers and Bulls.
3:05 to play. Shout out Pitbull. Leonard, step back, straightaway three. He cans it. Kawhi Leonard, raindrops. 7:30-point game. He's got 31. And the Clippers lead 104-100. Captain Clutch back once again.
Kawhi Leonard, 33 points as the Clippers beat the Bulls by 5. 108-103, AM 570, LA Sports. Kawhi has 8 straight 25-point games, second longest streak of his career. He had a 9-game streak with 25 points in 2020. He had 22 of his 33 points in the second half, most in any half this season. For Miami, Jimmy Butler hitting his plateau number again.
Biggest lead for Cleveland, 11. 9 for Miami. 3's the separation now. Jimmy trying to make it more. He did. Bottom of the circle jumper on the right side goes For Jimmy Butler, the game's only 20-point scorer, and he has 21. Blackjack. Always bet on black. 6-0 run for Miami. They're up by 5, 98-93. 123 to go.
Jason Jackson, 560 WQAM. Heat, a 3-point win over the Cavs, 100-97. Jimmy Butler finishing with 23 and 5 assists, his third straight 20-point game. Which teams in the NFL may look back and say, my bad? That's next. SportsCenter All Night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up Wednesday, as the Eagles and the Chiefs prepare to face off in a Super Bowl, I'll tell you which team's future is brighter. Keyshawn, J. Will, and of course Max, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
More SportsCenter All Night. Next.
I would say the worst loss for a team was the Bills, and the worst loss for a player was Dak. Dak is walking away from this, kind of reaffirming a lot of people's priors about him.
Check out the Dominique Foxworth Show, anywhere you get your podcast.
We were the greatest defense ever to play the game.
Turning it up.
The 2000 Ravens defense rose to dominance.
Turning it up. It's about intimidation. People were terrified of us. We're here to dominate them. I've heard words arrogant.
Yeah, we said it. Whatever they say, we said it.
And here's this team talking trash from day one. I'm not sure everybody cared for that.
30 for 30 presents Bullies of Baltimore, February 5th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Streaming same night on ESPN+.
Hey, it's Greeny, and a bit of a surprise, but Sean Payton is the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. They have to give up a lot to get him. Is this a great idea or another huge mistake? We'll talk about it. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hockey's best hit the beach for the 2023 NHL All-Star Weekend.
If you are what you say you are, the superstar.
League superstars face off in the skills competitions. Then fan favorites compete in the All-Star Game. The NHL All-Star Skills Competition, Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ESPN+. And the NHL All-Star Game, presented by Honda, Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern on ABC and ESPN+.
You can't miss Canty and Carlin, pound for pound, the biggest show on ESPN Radio.
Earlier today, I went to the barber. He was not my barber. And the reason I was there was because I had to get it cut before I going away. It was shaggy all over the place. And the barber went way too high in trimming up my beard down below. Yeah. So basically, I have about 4 inches of skin and then a chin strap of beard. By the way, if you go to the barber and you're getting a shave, as you're laying back, there's no way you can't think you're not getting whacked in that moment. Billy in Houston is going to hopefully straighten this out for me. Billy, what's up?
Bruh, that was not your fault. That's the barber's fault.
Thank you.
He's supposed to know exactly what his clients want.
What bums me out is I actually have a 3-hour layover in Houston. And I wish I could see Billy. Billy is laying it out there.
I'll come to you.
See, that's the kind of barber that you need. Exactly. It's clear that you need Billy in Houston.
Canty and Carlin, weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
The all-new Pro Bowl games live from Las Vegas. Join Peyton and Eli Manning as they coach the league's best to glory in dodgeball, precision passing, and more in the Skills Showdown. Plus, for the first time ever, the AFC versus the NFC in flag football. The 2023 Pro Bowl games. Skills Showdown tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. And don't miss flag football and more skills. Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ABC.
Jason and John, the J&J Show, weekdays from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. 92.9 FM ESPN.
It's my go-to station.
Memphis' sports station.
SportsCenter All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
We're taking you to Key, Jay, and Max, 6 o'clock Eastern time here on ESPN Radio. SportsCenter All Night, presented by Progressive Insurance. On the ice on Tuesday, Hurricanes and Kings skating at 4 in overtime.
H's takes a look, gets it to Burns. Oh, game over! Sebastian Aho wins it in overtime.
His 22nd goal of the season. It's a power play goal in OT, and the Hurricanes beat the Kings 5-4. Carolina with a 6-game win streak, second longest win streak this season. Their longest is 11. They happen to be on a 9-game point streak as well after the win over the Kings on Tuesday. Carolina not the only team to win in overtime Tuesday, and that's part of Tuesday's top sounds as we turn to gym basketball.
Number 5.
Jay, Kawhi Leonard has been selective regarding when he plays, but when he does, the Clippers certainly benefit. Tuesday, he scored 33 in Chicago with this deep ball helping to seal the deal late. AM 570 LA Sports.
3:05 to play. Shout out Pitbull. Leonard step back straightaway 3. He cans it. Kawhi Leonard. Raindrops. 7:30-point game. He's got 31. And the Clippers lead 104-100. Captain Clutch back once again.
Number 4.
The Lakers and Knicks played overtime at the Mecca. Late stages first half, it was Dennis Schroeder playing beat the halftime buzzers. 7:10 ESPN LA.
2 seconds to go. Half quarter by Schroeder. Good! Schroeder threw it in from 45 feet. Are they going to count it? I think so. 53-52 Knicks at the half.
Number 3.
As we near the All-Star break in the NHL, the Washington Capitals, looking to stay atop the wild card heap in the Eastern Conference, went to overtime in Columbus, and this gave them the extra point. 106.7 The Fan.
MJ 90 kicks it back to Kuznetsov. Looks, shoots, and scores! Evgeny Kuznetsov wins it for Washington. His first goal in 14 games, and the Capitals escape Ohio with a 4-3 win over Columbus.
Number 2.
23rd ranked Miami taking out Virginia Tech with 4 Canes hitting for double figures, including Nigel Pack, who hit on 5 of 7 from beyond the arc. 560 WQAM.
Nice shot is blocked by O'Meara. He's got it in front of Wong. Wong bounced past the Pack. He's open for 3. Go! Unbelievable! Nigel Pack is bringing the house down.
Number 1.
And it was the first time in 3 seasons King James plays at Madison Square Garden, and he gets within 89 points of becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer with a 28-point triple-double. Again, 7:10 ESPN LA.
LeBron's got the ball. Lakers have 10 to shoot it. Crowd chanting defense. LeBron for 3. Good! A huge 3 by LeBron. Timeout, New York.
Big lights will inspire you. Let's hear it for New York. Jay-Z. I'm Jay Reynolds. No relation. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. LeBron, 28 on Tuesday. 2 things. 1, at Caesars, the prop bet for his scoring Tuesday was 27.5. He scores 28. The 28, as you heard from Jim Basketball, brings him to within 89 of passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most all-time. ESPN's Dave McMenamin.
They're starting to get excited for it. Anthony Davis, after the game, said they can all feel it coming, and they feel like it's going to be surreal, but they want to, as teammates, deliver a win for LeBron whenever that game might occur. Now, he's averaging about 30 points a game this season, 89 points away. You can do simple math, 3 games away. If he plays in Indiana, plays in New Orleans, back home against Oklahoma City Thunder, that's a plucky team that's won 6 out of their last 10, and they're hovering around 500. They're above the standings when it comes to the Western Conference, ahead of the Lakers. So they'll want to do that.
All right, last I read, Dave, James is expected to break the record on Thursday, February 9th in LA against the Bucks. Now, if he could do it a week from Saturday in LA against the Warriors on ABC, if you can talk him into that, can you do that? Because there'd be a spot bonus in it for you.
I'll see what I can do, but I think he wants to do LA and not San Francisco because you're going to have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the building if Kareem doesn't have to travel.
Projected possibilities for LeBron passing Kareem next Tuesday and Thursday. Both of those Lakers games will be here on ESPN Radio. NFL hirings on Tuesday. Houston Texans going with DeMeco Ryans as their new head coach. Meanwhile, Sean Payton expected to be the new coach of the Broncos. Payton landing in Denver. Earlier on ESPN Radio, our Joe Fortenbaugh.
With the Chargers, you really better hope this doesn't work out for Denver because they're in your division.
So the idea that you hung on to Staley when everyone thought you were going to move on after what happened at that Chargers debacle, and then go out and get Peyton to coach up Justin Herbert, it just looked like a layup. Now, they didn't want to do it. I don't think they wanted to spend the money. Fine, you're going to stick with Staley. But if it doesn't work with Staley and Peyton turns around Denver, you look like an idiot on two fronts. That's not good business. Not good business at all. That's the stuff that gets people fired. On the Dallas front, what's interesting to me is that you have a head coach in Mike McCarthy who struggles greatly with game management. So your decision after yet another playoff flameout was to get rid of the offensive coordinator and put more on his plate. He had little on his plate to begin with and couldn't handle it. And now you're going to put more on his plate and you think that's going to solve the problem. So I think both teams are going to regret it for very different reasons. But ultimately, yes, they're both going to regret it.
Broncos are expected to make Peyton one of the highest paid head coaches in the NFL. Peyton telling NOLA.com yesterday this was the opportunity he was looking for. That'll do it for SportsCenter All Night. I'm Jay Reynolds. It's Tuesday, February 1st, birthday of Ronda Rousey. She turns 36 today. Much more reaction this morning to the NFL coaching hires, starting with KJ and Max. They're next. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up next, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?